Welcome, I'm Tonio, and this is part 2 of my stunning tabletop build where I will be showing you guys how I made these stunning trestle and pedestal style legs for this kitchen table. If you guys haven't seen part 1 of this series yet, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description for you guys to check out. First, we're going to start off by cutting some 4x4s I have in my wood arsenal to length. And for the next part, we're going to send those pieces through the planer to clean up the wood and make the surface nice and smooth.
Alright, we got these bad boys here cut up. We're going to go ahead and send them to the joiner and square them up.
Now, the purpose of the joiner is to make our wood pieces square so that when we glue them together, they're not all lopsided.
Alright, so I got these super square. Next step is to glue them together. I already glued 2 and 2 together, and now I'm going to glue these 2 halves together.
So here we're just taking our time gluing the full pieces together, and we want to clamp them as evenly as possible. So it comes out nice and even all the way around, and that's going to make up the majority of our leg.
And now we're going to go ahead and send this through the joiner one last time to get this edge out right here. Alright, we got ourselves a solid block here. Now we could go ahead and cut this, but if we take a look at our measurements, we're slightly under 6 inches in one direction, and this way we're about slightly under 4.5. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up 2 more and stack them on top. And we're back once again with this project. We're making the pedestal trestle leg right here for our pallet table, and I got me this new toy. I can't wait to try this out. This is what I'm going to use to cut the trestles for the legs. As you guys can see, I already have all these pieces cut out. This is going to be the pedestal base for the leg. I gotta glue these pieces together, and I'm going to cut out a wavy pattern like that on each side, and then this is the trestle itself, which I'm going to draw a pattern in this part as well. And then this part is just going to be for a little extra strength at the top to keep the whole leg from wiggling. I can hear some bikes racing down there. So let's go and get to it. I'm going to start gluing this thing up. I like to use little blocks of wood to spread the glue. Usually works pretty good. Alright guys, I think that's pretty much ready. It's been drying for roughly 30 minutes. And there we go.
And once again, we want to send both sides of this block through the planer so that we can get each side nice and flush and even, and also so we can get it to the desired width that we want.
Alright, and you can see that clean up our pedestal really nicely. This is the front of it. Took all that glue off, and we evened out all the edges. It looks beautiful.
And for the next step, we're going to go ahead and measure out the center of the trestle so that I can freehand on the design for the pedestal that we want to cut out on the bandsaw. And right here you can see I pretty much have to max out the heightness of the riser just to send this piece through. I did make sure to cut this so that it can fit through the bandsaw at its maximum height. So eventually I think I'm going to have to upgrade my bandsaw so I can send bigger pieces through it and make bigger pieces of furniture, but it works out for now. it did exactly what I wanted it to, and in the end, I honestly love this bandsaw. I think it's one of the best purchases I've made yet. Next, I tried to sand down the rounded parts by hand as much as I could, but honestly, it didn't work out like I thought it would. This part took absolutely forever, and honestly, I should have just brought out the bench sander right away. I probably would have got it done much sooner. Now I'm going to use the radial arm saw to make some cuts that'll form what is known as a tenon so that we can make a mortise and tenon joint. A mortise and tenon joint is a strong and durable way to join two pieces of wood together. To create a tenon, you'll need to shape one end of your workpiece so that it fits precisely into the corresponding hole or mortise in the other piece. This requires careful measurement and cutting to ensure the right fit. Once the joint is assembled and glued, it will provide a secure connection.
And here we have our tenon. I think I always get them mixed up. I think this is the tenon and the hole is the mortise. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat this process for the top, and then we're gonna cut our mortises.
I am now attempting to cut the mortise, which is pretty difficult to do, especially since this is the very first time I ever attempt to do a mortise and tenon joint. So it's not going to come out perfect, but I am doing the best I can, taking my time and just overall being as precise as possible. Now this is not the final depth. I do a little bit at a time with the router, and then I try to straighten out the edges with the chisel. And then I'm going to come back and cut it a little bit deeper with the router, and then back with the chisel, and repeat until we get to the desired depth.
All right, now as you guys can see, she fits beautifully. However, there's a little bit of a gap here, so I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this back out and we're gonna cut the tenon here a little bit shorter. Wow, that is almost perfect. Here's the bottom, and there's two. Isn't she beautiful? She's coming together greatly.
Once we drill out some holes in both the top and bottom of our pedestal trestle here, we are going to put in these huge screws I have, which are actually used for concrete. These are used for securing things into the concrete, such as patio overheads or a frame of a house. And they just happen to work perfectly for what I'm doing here.
So for this top piece right here, this is going to be the part that secures the trestle to the table itself. I want to put some 45s here on the corners, so I have my saw here set at a 45. I went ahead and bought this brand new Diablo blade. This is intended for ripping, but it does beautiful cross cuts, so we're going to go ahead and test this sucker out. Now I'm basically just going to guesstimate a measurement here, say 1 inch, put my mark at 1 inch. Draw our line, and now we don't want our blade here to saw through our fence, so I have this extra piece of wood that I'm going to use to hold up my piece that I'm actually cutting here. And let me see if I can bring the camera onto this side so you guys can see what's going on. Basically right here, we're just going to go ahead and line that up with our blade right at 1 inch, bring that tooth down, cut our 45 right there. Alright, I went ahead and got it all back together here. There's our 45s looking aesthetically pleasing, and I went ahead and drew out a design here on our template. Basically this is going to go right here, so I'm going to cut this design out of the template, and then we're going to use the template to cut it on to our block here. So that's basically how it's going to look on each side. We're going to use the template and cut it out on every side of this block. So we got to cut it out 4 times and see how it comes out.
Now this is the part that I've been waiting for. I am excited to use this bandsaw design on our template so that we can use it on our pedestal trestle. Alright, so here I basically have the template clamped down to the post so that I can trace it on and it doesn't move, or it doesn't move while I'm tracing it. So let's go ahead and trace that on real quick. And there it is. There is our design. A little nervous doing this because I spent so much time making this block and cutting the mortise and tenons, so I really don't want to mess this up. Now, because I just bought this bandsaw, it's new to me and I'm not a professional at it quite yet, but I did get this blade online and it works pretty dang good, but I learned a lot. I learned that I needed to get a more aggressive tooth blade, but despite that, it still worked out pretty well. I was going to go ahead and do all the cleaning up later, but I'm just going to do a little bit of sanding because I'm really excited and I want to see what it's going to look like. And there we have it, baby. A beautifully clean cut edge. I'm probably going to finish this off later with the bench sander, but for now it looks super beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of it now. And now we begin to cut the other 3 sides, which ends up being a pain in the butt because I cannot send it through with the template on top because my bandsaw just simply isn't high enough. So I ended up having to draw the design onto all the little individual pieces that I cut off the first piece and repeat for every other side. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to sanding, and we repeat the entire process for our second leg. So quick update on the table. We pretty much have the majority of it done. As you can see, it's looking absolutely gorgeous, but I've been pretty lazy working on this table lately because it is blazing hot outside and I do not have a workshop, unfortunately. It's 99 degrees today, so I'm kind of just waiting for the evening to come around, so I only have to work in 80-degree weather in the shade, which is a lot more tolerable. So hopefully I can, you know, make some sales on these projects and make some money so I can build myself a workshop. So I went ahead and lowered the legs 1 inch so the table top sits a little bit lower. What I did was I actually took the trestle off of the pedestal and we cut the platform down 1 inch right here. So now the trestle kind of sits in to the pedestal a little bit, which I actually really like. I think it improves the look a little bit. I think it looks awesome. And now all I'm doing is finishing putting this one together. I'm putting bolts in the bottom and top. And there you have it. All right, look how sturdy that is. That thing is not going anywhere. Let me tell you, I love these bolts because they're ridiculously strong. In case anybody wants to know what they are, it's a box of DeWalt bolts. I don't know exactly if there's like a model number. Here's the side of the box. So if anybody wants to know, that's what they are. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed this build, subscribe to stay tuned in for part 3, where I'll be showing you guys how I designed and made the pieces that attach the legs to the tabletop, as well as spray on our finish to make this sucker shine. Thank you guys for watching and have an awesome day.